Science provides us with a special kind of knowledge about the world. Whether we are building a bridge, trying to understand and deal with climate change, or even understand ourselves as human beings and our place in the cosmos, we often turn to science to provide us especially reliable and insightful knowledge. Science is able to do this, it's often claimed, by being particularly objective, by which we often mean that scientists avoid things like bias, wishful thinking, or an undue influence of their own personal, social, or moral values in the process of performing science. The only value we often think that should count in science is that of valuing truth. This latter idea, however, has come under fire by philosophers of science in recent years who claim, on the one hand, that value judgments are unavoidable in science. It's impossible not to make value judgments all the time in different parts of the scientific process. And on the other hand, that even if it were possible to perform value-free science, that this actually wouldn't be the ideal way to perform good science. And so if you believe that that's true, the question no longer becomes, are values a legitimate thing in science? But rather, what kinds of values and value judgments can legitimately influence which parts of science? And to examine that question in our seminar, we will turn to this book by Kevin C. Elliott called A Tapestry of Values, An Introduction to Values in Science, which includes a lot of concrete, real-world examples of scientists performing science and either using or trying to avoid using their own personal value judgments to inform the scientific process, and arguments in favor or against doing so. And so topics that come up in the course of this book are things like the question of how should we decide what to study in the first place? For example, might it be the case that certain topics of study should be forbidden because we expect that the results of that research may only have harmful consequences for society or for certain groups in society? Or how should we communicate the results of science when we are not absolutely certain that they're correct? So, for example, if certain climate models tell us that a catastrophe might occur in the future but aren't entirely certain, and scientists need to inform the public and politicians about what's probably going to happen, how should they relate that information if they're not entirely certain about the results? So topics like that, that are often very practical in nature, come up in this book quite often, which makes the course and the topic also great for people who are studying a social or a natural science as part of their bachelor's. It's a very practically applicable perspective and very exciting. The course will take place in English. The book is also in English, but I would encourage you to come by and try to take part, even if you're not entirely confident in your English language abilities, because we can always translate certain things or work together to try to make it work. So I look forward to talking with you about this very exciting topic next semester.